Thank you very much, Mr. Bryan Miller, on being here with us today. Bryan Miller is an author, speaker, consultant from many years. He's the partner and founder from BSH Talent Solutions. He's an expert in people management and relationships as well. We're going to talk about his book too. But let's just give him the floor. And Bryan, take it away with your story. Let us know about your story, how you started, and I'll ask you a couple of questions after. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Happy to be here. Happy to share my thoughts on talent and relationships and other organizational things that we all faced. So I started out in talent management many years ago now, and I actually came from operations within an organization and decided to do some training as a personal development. So I didn't even intend on being in talent management. So I did the training part of it and, developed the skills to be in front of people that I wanted to. And then just one thing led to another, and I built a career, probably about 20 couple of years in corporations, and built a career in talent management. Of course, always focusing on relationships. That's kind of my thing. That's the foundation of the work that I do. And then 6 years ago, went out on my own. So doing the similar work in talent management and helping people to impact business metrics through strong relationships and culture. And now I just do that with lots of different corporate companies that I work through. And I work anywhere from small nonprofits to Fortune 200 companies.
So that's an impressive background on helping so many big corporations and being in corporate America for a long time. I think one of the, if not the most important aspect of a business is to be able to delegate. Obviously, someone starts as a singularity on one person because that's your idea and you started. But then if you want to get far, you are not going to be able to do it without help. And that help comes in a form of people that have different skill sets than yourself. So why was it that you focused your career path, Bryan, into the people and the culture and relationships? Obviously, you could have decided to go after finances or marketing or sales or things like that. So I'm curious. I agree. I think one of the most powerful things that someone can have to be able to scale, it's the people that you have. So I would like to have a squeeze of that juice on your brain on why is that you focus your career there, and a couple of things that I have here as well under the belt.
All right. Yeah, I ended up staying because when I first went into the field, I always intended on going back to operations. So to get to the core of your question, the reason I didn't is because I really started to see the impact of relationships and the impact on the business. So I always like to have impact, and it really does. We call it soft skills, but it's just to distinguish it from technical skills, but they're really kind of harder to develop, but yet more impactful. So there's lots of statistics. I cover a lot of them in my book around, increased productivity, creativity, innovation. All those things are impacted by people and leadership as well. So that's why I focused on, leadership and helping leaders to lead better and differently, as well as then just the relationships that people have. The more comfortable they are with each other, they can challenge each other in the right way. So it's not about always just being nice and agreeing with everyone. It's really about getting people to help them to be able to challenge each other and discuss things and debate things. And that's where the creativity comes from. So I ended up really liking to do the impact of business through the people, because it's really kind of the foundation. Everything builds off of that. So obviously processes, lean manufacturing, if you're in manufacturing, all those things will impact productivity, but it really starts with the people. So all those things are important. And I've worked in those areas a lot, but it always starts with the people. So you always have to get that right first before you can do anything else within your business to make it better.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how and if we can talk about your book and some of the contents, and how do you assess? I would think that there's working with you a discovery, and then you may have some interviews with mid lower end individuals, and you get a taste of, okay, this is not good, or this is it should be improved, whatever. So how is that process with you? And yeah, so how do you detect as you go on the companies and see those transformations happen with your craft?
Yeah, you laid it out pretty well there. Really, we do go in first is to learn about what's happening, what's going on. I think everything lives in a context, so you do have to understand it. Obviously, I have a system that I present in the book for how to focus on culture, how to bring people together, but it's going to be different in each organization. So the first step of the discovery really is to learn what's going on. And you're right, it's talking at all the different levels and understanding what's happening and things like that. And then it's really there are some assessments that we do and get the results and factor all that in. And then it's really about envisioning what the future could look like. So even if you're doing really well, you can always get better. So it's envisioning what that getting better is for you and your organization. And then we try to activate that. And sometimes it's going to be training. Sometimes it's going to be groups, bringing groups together. It just depends on what happens in that learning and envisioning stage as to how you activate the new concepts. Of course, I have a way to look at culture and be very intentional about culture. So that's going to be a part of it as well. And then, of course, we want to sustain that. So we want to make sure that, we don't come in and then when we leave, everybody forgets about it and moves on to something else, right? We really want it to be more sustainable. So we have some approaches that we take to cover that. A lot of it ends up being metrics and then just making sure that you have things implemented to make sure that mostly in your talent processes really that help you to keep a gauge on making sure that you continue that forward and it doesn't become just a flavor of the month and then move to something else later. It really has to be ingrained in what you do and how you do it. We really have 4 probably key areas, and that's kind of the bulk of it. That's what I lay out in the book. And so the first, environmental elements. So we think about working on the environment of the organization. The culture is the outcome. Of course, we're talking about transforming cultures, but you have to say, how can we do that? And the way that you do that is to work on the environment. You need to create the right environment for those relationships to thrive, for leaders to lead in the right way and be rewarded for leading in the right way, so that you can create that culture where you do have that foundation for everything else that you do. And the 4 environmental elements that we focus on is just how you treat each other. So that's the kind of the first step in it, and figuring out, of course, I have 5 pieces that I promote that help relationships thrive. But then also the thing that could end up in this bucket is your core values. A lot of companies, most companies have those already. So you maybe do some work on refining those, or maybe they're good and you just got to ingrain them in there more. But it's really good to have a set of agreed to, well thought out, hashed out over time, not just in people's head, but be able to write it down on a piece of paper. Like, how are we going to treat each other? How are we going to engage with each other? What are the rules for that? So that's kind of the first bucket. The second bucket is really about purpose, and that's why we work together. So really figuring that out. And a lot of times companies do a good job of figuring that out. So they have a vision and a mission or some combination thereof, but then it kind of just sits on the wall or on a website somewhere, and they don't really ingrain it in who they are and don't remind people of it. So it's not that you have to go around every day talking about that, but it should be ingrained in your processes of reminding people how they contribute to it, because everybody who's there in the organization, whether you're the highest person, the CEO, or the salesperson that's selling the most stuff, or you're supporting those roles, they're all important and they all contribute to the overall purpose of the company. So it's making sure that you're clear about that and that we're reminded of that through things like, maybe you're going to share customer letters of how you impacted, their business or their life, things like that, to remind people of that. The third element is collaboration. So that's really about involvement, and it's getting people involved in running the business. So it's not just, including people in meetings just to include them in meetings. It's really getting them to run the business. And you really need to think through, how do we collaborate? When do we collaborate? And again, it's about being intentional and clear on what that looks like, when you do it, so that you're not just collaborating for collaboration's sake. I would say about 10 years ago, collaboration became a really popular word, right? So everybody started collaborating, and then it kind of got a bad rap because we were burning people out because we picked the same finance person for every group that needed some finance assistance, and we weren't planful about it. So it's not a matter of not collaborating, it's a matter of strategically collaborating so that we're avoiding some of the pitfalls of collaboration, but yet gaining the advantages of when we think about creativity, innovation, getting better decisions made. So it's being very intentional, and it's getting people involved in running the business, not just to sit around and be involved, but to be involved in running the business. The final one, and I'm not going to say it's the most important one, but it might be the most important one. And this service is the final environmental element. And service throughout the whole system really shows up multiple times within relationship-driven cultures. And it really is about serving the greater good. And it's somewhat of a hierarchy. Not always does it have to be exactly like this, but most times the decisions that you're making, the work that you're doing, where you focus your effort and energy should be focused on the greater good. So if you think about the company, right, it should be serving the company, the function, the team, and of course yourself. That's not to say you can't have a good career and try to build your career and try to advance if that's what you want to do. You certainly can do that, but it should be in service of the greater good. So it's making sure that people focus on that. And the easiest way for us humans to do that, because it's hard for all of us, including myself, is to really try to focus on 3 traits. So humility, realizing that others have good ideas, others are valuable, others can contribute. Empathy is the second one, and that's really about understanding where someone's coming from. You might agree or disagree with how they're reacting or how they're feeling in a situation, but you can still have empathy and say, I get that you're frustrated about that, or whatever the emotion is, and kind of connect with them through that way. And then the final one is gratitude, and I think that's very important to remind ourselves. A lot of times we tend to forget all the good stuff that happened to us and remember all the bad stuff. It's really not that we're bad people or unappreciative. It's like one of the things that really kind of gets in our way of having good interactions with each other is we are designed as humans, are designed for survival. So that's good because we survive, but it gets in the way sometimes because we're very hyper on negativity, right? So that we don't die, right? And then sometimes that comes in, it's not really a life situation, but we feel like it is, right? So we don't respond in the right way. So a lot of times gratitude and remembering those good things can really help us. Just a quick story on that one. Years ago, when I first learned about this concept, I did an experiment with myself. So at the end of the day, I'd very quickly ask myself, did I have a good day or a bad day? And I would quickly categorize it. And sometimes I would say, well, today wasn't so good. I didn't feel too good about today. And then I would force myself to go down and list all the things that happened. Many times there was a lot of really good stuff happened. 1 or 2 things bad happened. And of course I labeled it as a bad day. So it really kind of shifted my mindset and, started getting more intentional about gratitude, writing it down, remembering it, and things like that. So those kind of 3 characteristics, I think, help us to free us up to be more of service to others, which I think then makes the organization run much better.
Yeah, that's gold. I don't know if you saw me. I was just taking notes furiously
Yeah.
on my desk. So I think one of the things that I super resonate with is the design thinking, as you also name it, the innovation, which is super important. Like we have people that are driven by being innovative and having that divergent thinking. They are going to help us to overcome problems so much faster. Um, One, the collaboration, the systems when you go in and you help them with whether if it's you have like pieces of your chess and your chessboard. You need to make sure you don't play the tower, or you don't play like things the same way. You need to make sure that they are played in a way that they get leveraged. So absolutely. And the I didn't expect the last one being serving for the greater good. I think that also reminded me of Simon. I don't know, you might know Simon Sinek, the wise. So that
Yes. Yes.
yeah. So if you make someone um, have the same drive as you. It's not like, oh, we founded this company because we want to make money. Yes, absolutely, but why did you do that? Like what's behind it? So that's maybe we offline talk about how some leaders can make people stay at 2 a.m. without them complaining about it, because they are working for the greater good, and they are behind the mission of the company. And I have my journal here, and one thing that I have in, so this is called best self. I don't know if you know it, but the first thing that it comes in the journal is uh, I'm grateful for, and I have to fill it out. So super powerful. Once I was joining a program, and I was very depressed, and at that time I was in a valley, having a tough time in my business, and then I encountered one of my a fellow agency owner member that was also in the program, and he's bound to a bed. He has a wheelchair. He moves around, like he has to take calls while laying down on his bed. And I'm like, well, why am I freaking complaining about? Like, I need to be grateful of what I have, and I have so much potential. And this guy is so happy. He's my friend. I'm gonna tag him probably in our episode. But Aiden, my friend, he lives in the U.S. Like, absolutely agree with you, Brian. We need to be super super grateful on what we have, and what we have is something that someone else is cherishing, and we should be absolutely grateful for that. So yes, 100%. So if someone wants to get your book or wants to get in contact with you, how do they do that? I will obviously put in your LinkedIn. I'll put your website as well, and your book on Amazon. But just in case, is that a good path for us to take?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great path. And the book, you can get it anywhere books are sold. Amazon, it's on Amazon. That's a lot of times where people go and get it, because it's just real easy and it gets there pretty quick. So that's a great place to get it too. And then within the book, even at the back of the book, there's multiple ways to contact me. But yeah, like the website is a good avenue to go on there. All my contacts information is there, and you can fill out a form and request information. And I'm always happy to connect about talent. You don't have to fear that I'm going to be in super sales mode and try to sell you 14 things in the first 3 minutes. I'm always open to just a conversation. If it leads to us working together, great. If it's just a good conversation, I enjoy that as well, because I'm really trying to have an impact and really push this relationship thing further and further. I think today's organizations people are more and more focused on the paycheck and not necessarily the purpose, as you described earlier really well. where you get, you won't mind staying till 2 a.m., right? Because like you want it to, go serve the greater good, you want to fulfill the purpose, things like that. So that's kind of what we're after. So anytime we get a chance to talk to somebody about that, it's a happy day.
Perfect, beautiful. And with that note, my dear Bryan, let's end it here. And I thank you very much for your time. I will stop the recording. Just don't leave me. I want to ask you, and I'll make an introduction with someone I think it's going to be a good fit. Thank you very much, Bryan.
Thank you. Take care.